Okay, this is not a video I was expecting to make this early, but here we are on this fine Saturday talking about the USMNT World Cup roster that was supposed to be dropped on May 26th, a Tuesday. Now, yesterday there was a Boger bomb that happened. He tweeted an article with about 6 players, I think, that were announced or said to be on the roster, and I thought, okay, cool, that's our little sneak peek. We're gonna wait until Tuesday to get the rest of the roster. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. And on Saturday, today, it dropped, and I was at freaking Sam's Club with my mother, and I literally tried my hardest to not look at the roster because I was like, I want to make a video about this so bad. So here I am. I haven't looked at this roster. I do know some things. I know who missed out. I know who is on it. So let's just go through the whole roster and see what we have. Okay, we're reading this off of USMNT only. This is via The Guardian, but I'm looking at the screenshot. So, okay, goalkeepers. We have Chris Brady, Matt Freese, and Matt Turner. Not surprised here. I definitely feel like Freese was a given. I personally think he should be our starting goalkeeper. Matt Turner, not surprised either. He needs to be the second choice keeper. And then Chris Brady, it was either between, in my opinion, him and Patrick Schulte. Obviously, Schulte hasn't been that great this season to start off the MLS season. So Chris Brady obviously took that, so congrats to them for that. Then we have defenders. Max Arfson, not a defender, but we take it. Serginho Dest, Alex Freeman, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, Joe Scally, Austin Trusty. Okay, I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at this. Again, Max is not a defender. I don't know why we keep listing him as a defender. He's a winger. I feel like we could use... If Poch realized that he is a winger, we can fill up that spot with like another defender, but whatever. Serginho, I'm happy about. Alex Freeman, I kind of expected him to be on the list. Poch really likes him. Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, I'm not mad. Jedi, not mad. Miles Robinson now, no. I kind of had a feeling he was going to be in the roster, but I actually was hoping that it wasn't going to be, but whatever. I'm happy that Joe is on the roster. I made a TikTok yesterday saying how I personally think he's low-key an underrated USMNT player, so I'm happy he was able to make it because he has been really good with Gladbach, even though, again, most people probably wouldn't know that unless they watched him or watched the Bundesliga as a whole. And then Austin Trusty, a player that I don't really mind being on the roster. He's just there, so... congrats to them. Okay, now we have our midfielders. Why do we only have 4? Okay, whatever. We have Tyler Adams, Sebastian Berhalter, Weston McKennie, and Christian Roldan. Now, I knew Roldan was on the roster. Like, I asked my group chat that I'm in, just pulling the trigger here, is Roldan on the roster, and they told me yes. So I shouldn't be disappointed, but actually seeing this name in this list, livid. But I'm not mad at this. I kind of expected this. Minus Roldan, I'm fine with everyone else. So congrats to everybody. Sebastian Berhalter, if y'all know, that is my guy. Good luck. And then attacking midfielders / wingers, we have Brendan Aronson, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Malik Tillman, Tim Weah, and Alejandro Zedejas. Now, I'm not mad at this. I like all of these players. I expected for all of them to be on this list except for Zendejas. I feel like the past couple months he's kind of been killing it with Club America, and he's been doing what he needs to do, but he's kind of been under the radar and kind of not getting the attention he deserves. I think the last March camp, or the last camp that was in March, he didn't get called up, but I think he was dealing with some type of injury. But I'm happy to see him come in because there's another player that we'll talk about later on. Not now. Let's focus on who's here. People are really upset that he wasn't on the roster. But anyways, congrats to these guys. And then for strikers, we have Florian Balogun, Ricardo Pepi, and Haji Wright. Oh, I was very accurate. As for strikers, I knew Ballo and Pepe were going to be on it, but that third choice, obviously that goes up in the air, but I definitely think Haji Wright, in my opinion, was that third choice striker. So, congrats to them. Let's say that first. Congrats to them. Am I wrong to say I'm not mad at this? It's expected. I feel like if you've been familiar with the way Poch has been cooking up these rosters and everything, this honestly shouldn't surprise a lot of people. Now, I will say there are a lot of players that I feel like, or not a lot, but there are a handful of players who I feel like were kind of snubbed, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But overall, this is what we got, and this is what we're gonna have to deal with. And again, this is honestly expected. If you expected anything else from Poch, I don't know what to tell you. You set yourself up for failure and for disappointment. Now that that's out of the way, I again don't mind the roster. I could do without Miles Robinson, Christian Roldan, and without, I think that's it. Yeah, I can do without those two. But let's see. Yeah, I had a whole thing that I wanted to go through like for this video, but this just came out of the blue. So let me see. Outline: surprises, squad balance, identity, overall expectations. Okay. So I actually don't know how I want to do this now. I already talked about this. Let's start off with positional breakdown. The goalkeepers. I'm not surprised by any of the keepers that got called in. This will be Freeze's and Brady's first World Cups. Turner does have that experience. He was our starting goalkeeper for the last World Cup, but for this World Cup, again, I personally think that it should be Freeze. I just trust him a little bit more, and I'm kind of not in the mood for Turner's Butterfinger moments or cha-cha slide, you know, trying to be cute with his feet moments. It's just not going to happen, especially not with the opponents that we have coming up against us in like the group stages, and then hopefully moving on forward into like the knockouts. As for defenders, I'm not going to get too deep into like center back partnerships, whatever, because I'm not that great with all those positioning things. But I'm assuming, if I get the positions right, I'm assuming we could start Dest, Richards, Ream, and then Jedi. That would be my preferred back four if we do a back four. Do we do a back four? I think we play 4-3-3. Fake fan, but anyways, that's how I would line up the back. Now, as for depth concerns, maybe I'm a little weary of some of the players because, again, Max is listed as a defender, but he's not an actual defender, so that's a little concerning. But you know, this is a bright light situation, so he really can't do too bad. I would hope not. But Freeman, he has his moments. As long as he doesn't turn into a traffic cone, I think he'll be okay. McKenzie, I'm not too worried about. Miles Robinson he's just simply not it. What he used to be, he's not that anymore, and I'm honestly surprised that he got called in. I know, again, this is like Poch is like being consistent with you know who he's been bringing in the past couple camps, but Cincinnati has not been that great this season, and I know I'm saying this as an Atlanta United fan, but it's just been too hot and cold for me to genuinely accept. Like, if he was like lights out with Cincinnati, cool, but I've seen some goals that they've conceded. Yeah. But let's move on from him. Joe Scally, I trust, as well as Trusty. So I'm half and half when it comes to our depth concerns. Like, we got it, but then some of the players make me a little bit iffy. Let's get away from that. Let's go into our midfielders. We got a lot going on. We got our midfielders and our attacking midfielder. Tyler, for sure, I think will be starting. Weston as well. When it comes to our attacking midfielders, we have to have Christian in there. There's really no ifs, ands, or but. I'm really happy that Gio made it. I know a lot of people were like, he doesn't even play at Gladbach. Like, he doesn't get minutes. He hasn't been great in years. Flop wonder kid, whatever. So why would he get called up? You guys, we keep playing this game over and over again, and y'all are going to lose every single time. Gio Reyna has consistently proven that he is able to perform and produce in a USMNT jersey, regardless of whether he's getting playing time at his club or not. I'm actually shocked at how many people are upset about this. Like, again, he's usually one of the more consistent players during these camps, but I'll let y'all be mad. But whenever the time comes and he scores a banger or he has a masterclass performance in the midfield, all of y'all who had an issue. Now, I have a question in my notes. Is there creativity in the midfield? I would say so. Depending on who we start. If I'm looking specifically at our attacking midfielders, God only knows who's going to be starting. But Christian, when he wants to, he can be. I hope whatever funk that he had with AC Milan this year, like he washes it off of him, because we cannot bring that with the USMNT for the World Cup. But he can bring creativity. Gio Reyna as well, Malik Tillman, Tim Weah especially. Now, I don't know, back to Tillman, I don't know if he'll be a starter. We'll have to see. But I feel like also with Sendejas, I think we have a lot of creativity in the midfield. So I think we're okay in that area. Now, I feel like our midfielders was my most concerned section. But honestly, looking at what we have, I think we'll be okay depending on who starts. Now, as for forwards, I honestly think this was just a no-brainer. Along with the goalkeepers, like the positions, I think the forwards and goalkeepers were two positions that like were set in stone. There really wasn't any like if, ands, or buts. Like what about this player? No. Ballo for sure. Pepe, I'm really glad that he made it in the roster because he got snubbed last time, and there was a little bit of concern of whether he was going to be able to come in because he was dealing with that injury. I think it was like a shoulder injury, or was it hamstring? I don't know. He was injured at some point a couple months ago, but even despite him, coming back from injury, he was still able to pick up where he left off and was continuing to score. So I'm really happy that he's on the roster again. 2022, Greg did some shambolic stuff and did not include him in the roster. So I'm really happy for him. I hope he takes his chance. Do I think he'll be the starting striker? No. That is Balogun's position, but I will say either between him, honestly, I would really love it if we were to see all three strikers at some point during a game, whether we play with two strikers or just one, I don't know, but I definitely feel like I hope that we can see all three strikers come in at some point during these games, especially the ones where we're going to be playing a really like heavy defensive minded team. So that's all for the positioning breakdowns. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just repeating myself, but again, I'm just stunned at how this roster drop happened today, so I'm really just all over the place. Let's do this. List 4 to 5 players that will be most important for the team. Let's say Matt Freese for sure, and then Anthony Robinson is my second. Maybe let me choose another defender. I'm going to be captain obvious here. Actually, let's look at the because we have a lot of midfielders. So I have Matt Freese, Anthony Robinson, Weston McKennie. I think he'll be very important for the team. And I'll pick another midfielder or attacking midfielder. I'm going to say Christian Pulisic. Before you boo me, I think he realizes that he has a lot on his shoulders, and as much as he likes to say like, oh, like, it's just pressure, like, I'm used to it by now. With the way this season has gone for him so far with AC Milan, like last year, he was absolutely killing it. Like, it was still 25-26 season, but he was scoring goals, assisting like every game or every other game. And then 2026 rolls around and he literally hasn't contributed a goal to AC Milan at all. And so I say this because he not only needs to show up for the country, but for himself as well. And if he has a stinker World Cup, babes. So again, I say that he will be one of the important players on the team. And then for my last player, I have Balogun. Okay, to move this video on, because I literally am all over the place, I'm going to talk about 2 to 3 snubs. I'm not going to talk about surprises because honestly, nothing about this roster surprises me. But snubs, actually, surprises and snubs can fit together. Number 1, Diego Luna not being in the roster. Now, I personally am a fan of Diego Luna. I've always liked him, I think, since like 2022-ish when I first started to watch the U20 US kiddos. I knew about him and I followed him and thought he was a really great player. But seeing him not on the roster, we found this out since yesterday. Okay, we found out the players who did get, are on the roster, and then the 2 players, which was Xavier Gozo, which if you thought that Gozo was going to be on the roster, I have to applaud you for being delusional. There's just no way. Like, you guys are so dense, Anyways, but Diego Luna was a big shock. I definitely thought that he was like, that's his baby. Like, he broke his nose in that game and continued to play, and Poch was like, oh my goodness, I see the light. Like, I really thought he was Poch's guy. And for him to be plastered all over the United States of America, he's on the biggest billboards in New York, California, whatever. I literally was in the gallery in Houston a couple weeks ago, and I saw him alongside Pepe and like a Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever it was. Like, for him to be left off the roster is crazy. So it's really upsetting on his end, but again, as someone who is a fan of him and who likes him as a player, I'm not upset about this. I know there are so many people who were in their panties about this, and they were like, why is Gio Reyna called in instead of him? And I'm like, please do not compare Gio Reyna to Diego Luna. Diego is not going to win that argument. I'm so sorry, it's just not happening. So we hate that for Diego, but wow. Second snub, I'll say Aiden Morris. I'm really upset that he didn't get called in. I definitely thought that he was going to be on the roster. He's been doing amazing with Middlesbrough this season, despite them unfortunately getting knocked out or like not being able to get promoted to the Prem, which I honestly want to give Aiden Morris like the biggest hug right now, because finding out that you're not on the World Cup roster, and then on top of that, your team is not going to get promoted, like I honestly would like, so I feel bad for him. But I thought he was going to be on the roster, maybe kind of like 50-50, because again, he kind of wasn't getting called up consistently, but he did have some injuries here and there that prevented him from getting called in. So I definitely think this was a snub. I think they're just, I don't know. I think he should have been on that roster, because there's never really been a US game where I've been like, he's like not good. He hasn't disappointed me in the US jersey. So the fact that he got left off, I don't know. I hope we get to hear explanations as to why Poch didn't bring in certain players. As for another snub, I don't know. I've been seeing people on Twitter talk about Testman. I don't really care about Testman, so that's not a snub to me. I will say Jack McGlynn is kind of upsetting, like that he's on the roster, but I'm not surprised. Like Diego Luna, I'm a fan of him. One of my favorite players, especially in MLS, and I was really hoping for him to make the roster because like he has that lethal left foot. Is he the fastest? No, but he can make some shake in the midfield. His passing is great, and I do know that he had last year he like broke his foot or something, and he had to like literally not play for the rest of the season last year. And then this year I think he had another injury that kept him out for a couple weeks, but he's back. But he hasn't really been that great with Dynamo. It's been kind of inconsistent, so I'm kind of not surprised that this happened. So it's really unfortunate for him. I really did want him to go into the World Cup, but hopefully, how old is he? Let's check. Jack McGlynn is 22. Okay, he turns, when is his birthday? His birthday is July 7th, so he'll be 23 this year. By the next World Cup, he'll be 27. Okay, yeah, depending on where he goes after Dynamo, which hopefully is abroad in Europe, if he continues to, you know, develop and grow, I think he'll be fine. So just, you know, just keep working for the next World Cup, babes. But yeah, those are, I guess, my 3 snubs. I think the one I'm most upset about though is Aiden Morris. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about my expectations and then close this out, because I think this is gonna be like a 30-minute video when I literally just said nothing at all. And yeah, so let's wrap it up. Realistic expectations, I think we make it past the group stage. Now I know that's bare minimum, but a lot of people don't really have a lot of faith in the national team, especially with the last 2 friendlies that we had where we got whooped 5-2 against Belgium, and then Portugal beat us 2-0. So that camp left a very bad taste in our mouths. So I will say group stage is realistic. Like, we can make it past that. And honestly, I think we can make it to the quarterfinals. Now, in a way, I still feel like that's me having a little bit of doubts regarding the national team, but I feel like the quarterfinals, that's my safe haven. That's like my safe spot for this team, because again, this is the World Cup. We don't know who we're going to face after the group stage. So quarterfinals, I feel like, is our safe haven. If we make it past that, great, even better. But I definitely think after the group stage, we can make it to the quarterfinals. Oh God, I hope so. For strengths and weaknesses, I say our strengths will be our players' individual qualities. That can also maybe be a weakness, because we have seen how great our players are individually at their clubs, but then they play together on the national team and they look like gutter butt. So I will say what we need to work on, or need to make sure is like on lock, is our backline and our midfield. Like, they need to be like this. Like they need to be connected. And then our attackers, I trust Balogun and Pepe and Richards. That's not his last name. Right. I trust the three of them to make something happen. Knowing them, they're not players who are going to like wait on their teammates to figure something out for them. They're going to make something happen out of nothing, especially Balogun. Balogun is literally going to point to where he wants the ball to be passed to him so that he can make his shot. So I'm not worried about our strikers, surprisingly, but I really do think our midfield and our defense, we really need to make sure that they're in connection and they are like in cohesion with each other, because that'll really make or break us, as we've seen in previous games. So to close out this extremely chaotic video, I just hope we do well. Again, I think quarterfinals is a safe place for my expectations for this team. I wish them all the best, even the players that I don't want to be on the roster. And for the players who didn't make the roster, I'm so sorry. And I hope, you're around family and friends and loved ones, and you're able to, hopefully not be too depressed during this time. And again, for the younger players, there's always the next World Cup. We need our prime 27-year-olds anyway. So, just shape up for the next World Cup. And who is calling me? Of course, my friend is calling me.
Hello, friend.
Hold on. Let me finish this video. Hold on.
Put me on the podcast. They need to hear me.
Okay, so this is my friend. She just graduated from dental school. Everyone say congrats to her. I'm talking about the World Cup roster, and it dropped. Mind you, it was supposed to drop on Tuesday, May 26th, but it somehow got leaked today. So I'm talking about that right now. Right. So do you want to hear who's on the roster? You don't even know who the players are. But so
I was actually gonna say, I'm just kidding. You don't have to put me on on the line. You can call me back.
Well, I'll let you know that Christian made it, of course.
Okay.
Not just surprised. There's no way he wasn't gonna be on the roster. No way.
I know there's no way he wasn't making the roster, but okay, keep going.
Weston's on the roster.
Sweet baby, okay.
Okay. You don't know any of these other guys. Sebastian's on the roster, my crushy crush.
Yes.
Oh, Max as well, face card. That's another thing. Do we have face card national team? A lot of our players are attractive, so I definitely think we'll get all the girlies to lock in. I think the players that we bring in, I think we have face card national teams. So the girlies will be making their fan cans for the World Cup, and we'd love to see it. But yes, okay, bye. I don't know how to close this video, so